With the world on the brink of collapse, society needing somebody to stop this evil villain that is willing to just destroy everything that we know and love. Well, don't worry, you guys. I got that hero for you. And it's this man. Well, don't worry. He can be very much efficient at his job and can really save this whole operation, this whole city. I'm telling you, this man is too good.
Yeah.
Need a bathroom.
I need this room immediately.
There's a line, man.
Police business.
Listen, you get what you get, okay? I understand. You could ask for more, but hey, he's the best in our squad. Oh dear.
We've upgraded your car with the most advanced crime-fighting tech.
Drive forward 30 feet. Pretty smooth.
Oh.
This place is falling apart.
The Naked Gun 2025 is directed by Akiva Schaffer and written by Gregor, Doug Mand, and Akiva Schaffer. The film stars Liam Neeson, Pamela Anderson, Paul Walter Hauser, Kevin Durand, and Danny Huston. According to IMDb's plot synopsis, only one man has the particular set of skills to lead police squad and save the world. If you want one series that can make you laugh, is the Naked Gun series. They can do that for you. To this day, people go back to them and rewatch them over and over again. They are some of the funniest comedies you will ever see in terms of being the best in the spoof genre. Although it started as a TV show titled Police Squad, that is what it initially was back in 1982. Everyone remembers the film series that starred that guy from Airplane. Just kidding. Starring the comedic legend Leslie Nielsen. For many years, there have been attempts to continue the series with one of the original creators, but it never happened. And of course, we tragically lost Leslie Nielsen. Very talented and very much somebody who a lot of people think inspired the whole deadpan nature when it comes to spoof comedy movies. Whenever you think of a character like that, you think of this man. Years later, Seth MacFarlane would be attached to direct, but decided to just produce. At one point, yes, he was going to direct this movie, but ultimately gave it to somebody else and settled with being a producer. This allowed Akiva Schaffer to then step in to direct and co-write the script with the other writers, like I mentioned. Add on Liam Neeson as Frank Drebin Jr., who, of course, is the son of Leslie Nielsen's character, Frank Drebin Sr., and here we are. I get it, folks. I understand. In an era of sequels and reboots, many were very nervous and rolling their eyes with this film. I can tell you, people probably were looking at the teaser and the trailers for this movie, and everyone was like, okay, there's potential here, there's some promise, but Seth MacFarlane, some people are hit or miss with him. Either you still love his work or you find it very annoying. Regardless, the man has reach, and the fact that he is involved in this project, that's kind of a big gamble. You also have Akiva Schaffer, who is still an up-and-coming younger director who was part of the Lonely Island group with Andy Samberg, as well as directing Hot Rod or Pop Star Never Stop, which is a underrated comedy movie from what I've heard. And so you have a recipe here where this can go really good or really badly, okay? And I'm telling you, so many people, I bet you, were probably writing this off as just Hollywood just taking an IP and taking a massive shit on it. However, this film, in my eyes, was a fun but mainly hilarious sequel. I know, it's crazy to think. I'm even still thinking how much that you can look at the trailers, you can look at the marketing for this movie and think there is no way in hell they are ever going to come close to what the original Naked Gun trilogy you knew with Leslie Nielsen. And I'm here to tell you, folks, that is the case. Akiva Schaffer, he managed to pull off the impossible for a franchise series that is known for having one of the most iconic comedic legends, and yet you got Liam Neeson to do it, and the fact that it's a success, it astonishes me. Besides one issue, this has to be the funniest film this year. What most people would say they've seen with comedy movies this year alone, I think they will take this as being the funniest film of the year as of right now. Before discussing, though, my only problem with the film, here are the positives. The performances are hysterical. The entire cast, mainly Neeson and Anderson, commit to the project and keeps the laughs going. Ultimately, they pay off so well. Liam Neeson, just like Leslie Nielsen, who at one point, for those who don't know, he was a dramatic actor as well. And of course, he then jumped into doing comedies with Airplane, and then along the lines, he just kept on doing what people know him best for, doing the deadpan nature that made everyone laugh. With Liam Neeson, he went from being a dramatic actor to an action lead with the help of Taken from 2008. And for a very long time, he was established as just only an action star and action star only. And is getting to that point in his career where pretty much a lot of his movies are straight to video films or movies that are just kind of parodies of themselves. So the fact that Liam Neeson decided, you know what, I'll parody myself. I will take the movies that I have done and just laugh at how ridiculously stupid I have been in them. And he is hilarious in this movie. This man commits to playing Frank Drebin Jr., who, of course, like I mentioned, is the character that Leslie Nielsen played in the original trilogy. And for Neeson to just get everything right and really delivering on what made Leslie Nielsen so funny in those movies, he brings it here. I really think that this guy really wanted to make sure that he kept the nature of what made the Naked Gun series so funny, and that was simply Leslie Nielsen. The man was a comedic genius when it came to that kind of stuff, and Liam Neeson, he does very well in here, and he fits. And for somebody who was kind of a little bit skeptical of him playing the role, he paid off very well. Same with Pamela Anderson. I tell you, I have not seen Pamela Anderson in a lot of movies lately, even though she has been getting some sort of a comeback as of recently. For her to be thrown into this movie, she also does very well with the comedy elements, and her and Liam Neeson, they work really well off of each other, and they also reminded me of Leslie Nielsen and Priscilla Presley when they were in the original trilogy of Naked Gun films. The direction is on point. Director Keith Schaffer fully leans into the outrageous nature of the series, but freshens it up with newcomers to join in on, keeping it locked and solid from beginning to end. For a movie that is considered like a legacy sequel, okay, most of the times movies kind of have to fill you in on the movies that you never saw before, or if you never even watched one of them, they have to pretty much summarize some of the things that the basic audience should know when it comes to the Naked Gun franchise. But here, I don't think you would have to have watched the previous movies to appreciate how much this movie is funny, but it's really just because Keith Schaffer has a keen eye for leaning into what worked about the Naked Gun movies, but freshening it up for today to work, but also still have some of those elements that were kind of seen in those Naked Gun movies, and just applying it here, but doing it in a way where it still makes you laugh. And he does a really good job of making sure that those comedy bits hit every single time, or finding clever ways to add stuff in the background, or even when something is right in front of you, he just knows how to give a good laugh out of it when it comes to having it there. The writing is effective. Writers Gregor, Manda, and Schaffer crafts a script that captures the series' humor and wit of spoofing the action genre, pulling off the comeback for spoof films. People, it has been a long time since spoof movies were a thing, not since like the 2010s, because around that period, spoof movies were starting to die off and nobody wanted them anymore, so went away. But now with this movie and with these writers, they managed to bring back what made spoof movies so special in the 80s and even 90s, where you had people who understood the genre, what works about spoofing it, and making sure that those jokes land with the actors saying those lines. And it is all because of how it is written that works so well into the movie that you just can't help but laugh. Like, the amount of times this movie just parodies how much action movies can be ridiculous, especially when it comes to Liam Neeson's action movies. Yeah, they really nailed it down pretty well, and it's just great knowing that you have these writers who are able to blend everything together to make a cohesive but also hilarious fun time. The pacing runtime is perfect. Every scene feels quick, but in the best way. With a runtime of 1 hour and 25 minutes, it's the right amount for a comedy film. People, I just got off from watching Happy Gilmore 2 when it came to a comedy movie this year. That movie went on too long. It should never have been near 2 hours. This movie is under an hour and a half. How is that possible? The fact that this movie was able to say what it wanted to say in that amount of length time is impressive and incredible. because I don't like how comedy movies, especially today, are starting to stretch super thin when it comes to its runtime. This movie reminds us it is okay to make a short comedy movie. It's all right. You don't need to stretch it out. And this movie proves how much that I always can appreciate a movie that can say what it needs to say in the amount of time that I feel like would be impossible, but can surprise you in so many ways. The editing is right. Every cut feels precise and spot on for when it leads up to the jokes. It also helps keep the film going at a consistent rate. There's never a moment where the editing becomes super choppy or sloppy. It felt like it was always on point whenever it came to those cuts, as well as when the jokes were starting to hit. Going back and forth between different actors when it came to delivering the punchlines, it all felt natural and right. The production is nice. From the costumes, sets, props, and crew work, it shows the dedication to keeping it just simple. Nothing too big or too grand. It just is simple enough. With a $42 million budget, it doesn't feel bloated or cheap. You can tell that there was effort into making sure that it can remind people that not only sometimes you don't need a large budget to deliver on a good movie, but you can deliver a comedy film that doesn't need to be big as it is, because we see a lot of comedy movies that do that. And for this movie to just able to deliver on that amount of budget is impressive enough, and it shows throughout this entire film. The cinematography is stellar. Cinematographer Brandon Trost shoots a fluent but tightly film that showcases the wacky and zany nature of the series, feeling in line with what the other films had come before it. There are times in this movie where it can, of course, look like, how you could say, a standard action movie, and that is the whole point. But there are times where it does showcase like body cam footage, or even sometimes it can look like a horror film because there is a sequence that involves a snowman. There's a moment in the film where it showcases how terrifying that snowman could be, and it can sometimes look like a horror film. And it worked so well in knowing that the film can really lean into what it's parodying, the action genre. And it looks like how an action movie would look like of today, and still make you just laugh at everything that is so ridiculously dumb and stupid, but in the right ways. The story is ridiculous. Following Frank Drebin Jr. trying to stop a tech billionaire was funny and does well at parodying the action series. It may not be original, but that's the point. There's no originality to it. But you know what? When a series like this that is known for parodying the genre of action, I don't think you need to ask for more other than just, is it at least entertaining watching it all unfold? Yes, because as somebody who loves action movies, I do, I really love them. Even I will admit, do they have their moments where it can sometimes fall into self-parody or just making a mockery of itself? Yeah, I won't deny that. I think that is very true. And the fact that this movie has that key sense of, we all know that this plot is ridiculous. It's stupid, but hey, we're pulling from what we know. There's a moment in the movie that does respect Leslie Nielsen in a fun way that I really think does pay off. But realistically, the plot itself, sure, it's nothing to write home about, but hey, if they do it well enough to make fun of it, they did something right. The music is enjoyable. Composer Lauren Balfe brings the series tone that leans into the genre as we know. Also, the licensed music also adds to the humor as well. Lauren Balfe has been involved in some properties that are of 80s based, so for him to be involved in this series, it makes sense. And of course, just like with the action genre, there's always intense music and exciting sequences that leads to some cool factors into it, but I do think with his scoring and how the movie goes, it just blends well. It just works perfectly with what the Naked Gun series is known for, and the licensed music itself just adds to the comedy factor. There's even an original song that Liam Neeson sings, and it's hilarious. It's really funny, and it works really well on how much this movie can just get a good laugh out of you, but the music does really fit with how the Naked Gun series has always been. Everything is there, but there is one issue that I saw that does hold it back for me from being a really perfect comedy movie in my eyes, at least for this year. Here is now the only negative. The visuals are distracting. Sometimes the effects can look a little wonky and silly. Mainly the green screen background can look flat at times. There are instances where I thought that they would use the green screen and just make fun of the fact that Frank's driving, that even though there are jokes that involve him getting a cup of coffee in different places. That being said, I thought that there would be a joke to mention the bad green screen, but it seems unlikely. It seemed like they wanted to focus on the other aspects of the comedy, because I really do think that it would have added to not only a good gag, but also just help the film out with regards to, yeah, we have the money, but yeah, these effects just don't look that amazing. But the fact that they are still kind of saying like, all right, well, yeah, that is what it is, but we're not going to acknowledge it. I do think that is a little bit disappointing, because then otherwise it could have leaned into and at least helped out, knowing that like, okay, yeah, the visual effects are supposed to look like that, but unfortunately they never do that, and so because of that, it does kind of make you think, okay, well, otherwise the visual effects are just very flat and very off a lot of the times. All in all, Schaffer delivered a really good and funny time at the movies. If you've been wanting a spoof film that hits, if you've been waiting for many years for a comedy movie to really hit you the right way that a spoof movie used to do, it's really worth a watch. It really is worth seeing how much this film reminds you. Spoof movies can work. They can really add to a really fun, funny feeling when you go to the movies. To make you laugh at something that is so dumb and so ridiculous, but you just have a good time with it. This to me is what I think a legacy sequel should be, in the way in which it doesn't try so hard to be always a lot of times nostalgia, because as much as I don't hate nostalgia, I will agree it does get to a certain point where a lot of times it's kind of forced in, especially by a studio. But this movie just felt right in how it respects the series and it respects the legacy that Leslie Nielsen left behind when it came to that franchise. And for this film to hit what the series is known for, I think it was in good hands. All I can say, I'm at least happy that this one really truly stuck the landing. I'm going to give The Naked Gun 2025 a 9 out of 10. This was a really hilarious time. If you want a good spoof movie or just a good comedy movie this year, I highly recommend it. Go see it in the theaters if you can, if you want to, because movies like this show that comedy movies can be and are worth your time seeing on the big screen. Because I'm telling you, when I was in my theater, not just me and my friend were laughing, there was a good amount of people in my theater that were laughing. And that's the best feeling that you can have, knowing that if everyone else is laughing along, that's all you can ever ask for. I will be soon doing my review for Tron 1982. So yes, look forward to that review and other reviews coming soon.